She woke up in a strange house after the weekend, and the billionaire said, "You're my wife." She only went out for a quiet weekend with her friends. But she woke up on Monday in a house she didn't recognize. A man walked in, smiled, and said, "Good morning, love. You're finally awake." She had no idea who he was, but he knew everything about her. Before we continue, if you enjoy touching and inspiring stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Now let's get back to the story. Nora's eyes snapped open. The ceiling above her was white, high, unfamiliar. She sat up fast. Her heart was pounding. The sheets smelled like ocean wind and clean linen. But this wasn't her bed. This wasn't her room. And this definitely wasn't the guest house she and her friends had rented for the weekend. Where was she? She scanned the room, panic rising. Hardwood floors, a soft gray rug, bookshelves lined with hardcovers and picture frames. A window looked out over a stretch of dunes, and beyond it, the ocean. Seagulls cried somewhere in the distance. It was too quiet, too still. Nora swung her legs out of bed and stood, the floor cool under her bare feet. She was still wearing the clothes from last night, jeans and a sweater, slightly crumpled, but intact. No signs of anything wrong, no bruises, no pain, nothing. Except confusion. Before she could open the door, it opened by itself. And there he was, a man, tall, calm. A few days of stubble on his face, soft brown hair swept back, eyes the color of wet sand. He looked at her like she was something precious, something he thought he'd lost. "Good morning, love. You're finally awake," he said, his voice quiet. "Where am I?" Nora asked, taking a step back. The man didn't move. He looked relieved. "This is my house," he said gently. "We're in Willow Bay." She frowned. "How did I get here? I don't remember leaving the bonfire. You were dizzy." "I found you near the cliffs," he said. "You fainted." She looked at him harder. There was something about his face, something almost hauntingly familiar. A sensation stirred in her chest. Not fear, not quite. More like something trying to wake up. "I should call my friends. They must be worried." "I already did," he said. "They know you're safe. You were exhausted. I didn't want to move you too much." She nodded slowly, still trying to understand what this all meant. And then he said it. "Nora," he murmured, "you're my wife." The words landed like thunder. She stared at him, blinking once, twice, waiting for him to laugh, or say he was joking, or clarify that she looked like someone else. But he didn't. "You're mistaken," she said, backing up. "I'm not married." His face didn't change. "Yes, you are. You were." He took a breath. "To me." Silence. She shook her head. "No, I think you've confused me with someone else." "You don't remember me," he said softly. Nora's hands trembled. Her heart was racing now. Something inside her, her chest, her gut, even the way her skin prickled, knew something was wrong. Or right. She didn't know. "I need to go," she whispered. He stepped aside immediately, giving her the space. No pressure, no sudden moves. "I won't stop you," he said. "But I'd like 5 minutes, that's all. If after that you want to leave and never see me again, I won't stand in your way." She paused by the door, staring at him. 5 minutes. She could give him that. He led her down the hallway into a sunlit kitchen where 2 mugs sat waiting on the counter, one black, one with oat milk and cinnamon, exactly how she liked it. She hadn't said anything. He just knew. He gestured to the table. She sat. "My name is Julian Cross," he said. "We met in this town almost 4 years ago. I was staying here for a few weeks, hiding from everything. You were visiting with friends. You spilled coffee on my sketchpad. That's how it started." Nora frowned. "Sketchpad? I'm an architect. Or I used to be." He smiled faintly. "You hated the first drawing I showed you." Despite herself, Nora almost smiled back. Almost. "I remember none of this," she said carefully. "I know," he said. And then he opened a small wooden box on the table and placed something inside her palm. A gold ring, thin, simple, worn on the inside from years of use. When her skin touched the metal, she froze. Her hand didn't shake, her breath didn't catch. But something deep in her chest, something buried, something heavy, moved. She looked at Julian. "I lost you once," he said, voice low. 2 years ago, you had an accident. You don't remember. Your mother said it was better if you never did, that it would only confuse you, hurt you, so I left. I let you go." Nora opened her mouth, then closed it again. Then her throat was tight. "You're not trapped here," Julian continued. "You can leave any time. I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm just asking you to feel, to see if there's anything still there, even a spark." Nora looked down at the ring again. There was a tremor in her stomach now, a memory she couldn't reach, a warmth she couldn't explain. She pushed the ring gently back toward him. "This isn't fair," she whispered. "You shouldn't do this." "I know," he said, "but I didn't come to make you remember. I came to remind you what it felt like to be loved." A quiet moment passed, then her phone buzzed. It was Mia, her best friend. "Where are you?" Julian said. "You're okay. Text me, please." Nora stared at the screen. "I need air," she said. Julian nodded. "There's a garden out back. It's where you used to go when you were overwhelmed." She didn't respond. She just stepped outside, and as the sun touched her face, as the ocean breeze wrapped around her, she realized something strange. She had been here before. She knew this place. She just didn't know why or how. But her heart did. And behind her, through the open door, Julian stood silently, watching, waiting. He would give her time. He always had. The garden was wild, not neglected, but free. Lavender bushes swayed with the sea wind, and stone paths twisted between tall grass and blooming jasmine. Nora stepped onto the worn stone with careful feet, like each step might awaken something sleeping beneath the soil. A bird took off from a branch as she walked past. In the distance, waves broke gently against the shore. She didn't remember any of this, not clearly, not like memories were supposed to feel. But something stirred inside her. Nora crouched by the wooden bench, tracing her fingers over the initials carved into the armrest. J+N, old, faded, smoothed by time and weather. The carving was shallow, but her fingers found it like a magnet finds metal. She sat. Behind her, the glass door remained open, but Julian hadn't followed. The silence was a strange comfort. She pulled her knees to her chest and tried to breathe. Was this real? Had she really been married? Loved someone enough to wear his ring and carve her name into wood and live in this house by the sea? She heard the door click gently behind her. Julian stepped out, holding a photo in his hand. He didn't come too close, just close enough for her to see the picture. Nora blinked. It was her, smiling, laughing. A scarf around her neck, the sea at her back, and Julian beside her, arms around her shoulders, his cheek pressed to her temple like he couldn't believe she was real. She didn't recognize the moment, but she recognized the way she looked at him. She looked happy, really happy. "Where was this?" she asked quietly. "Right there," he said, nodding to the path. "It was the first time we stayed here together. You said the wind made your thoughts clearer." She touched the edge of the photo. 100 questions formed in her head, but only one made it to her lips. "Why didn't you fight harder?" Julian's expression changed. Barely, but it changed. "I wanted to," he said, "every single day." "Then why didn't you?" "Because the day I came to see you in the hospital, you looked at me like I was a stranger, and your mom said if I kept showing up, it would hurt you more. She said you'd been confused, scared, waking up not knowing who you were or where you'd been. She begged me to leave you in peace." "And you just listened to her?" "I didn't just listen," he said. "I watched you from a distance. You started smiling again. You got a job. You were rebuilding. I thought maybe the kindest thing I could do was stay away." Nora's eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back. You thought forgetting you would make me happier. I thought remembering might break you." He sat down a few feet away, careful not to crowd her. "Then why now?" she asked. "Why come back if you were so sure I was better without you?" Julian looked at her then, really looked, and his voice shook just a little. "Because when I heard you were coming to Willow Bay again, I couldn't stay away. This town, it was our beginning, and maybe, just maybe, it could be yours again too." Nora's throat ached. She hated this feeling, like she was split down the middle. Half of her still stuck in the last 2 years, working at a bookstore, living with her mom, waking up every morning with a sense that something was missing. And now, she knew what or who. She stood suddenly. "I need to go back," she said. "I need to talk to my mom." Julian stood too, immediately. "I'll drive you." She hesitated, then nodded. The car ride was quiet. Nora stared out the window, fingers knotted in her lap. Julian kept his eyes on the road, careful not to push her into conversation. Every so often she glanced at him, his profile, the way his hand rested lightly on the steering wheel, the small scar on his jaw she hadn't noticed before. And in flashes, feelings came. Not memories, not yet, but feelings. They pulled up outside her childhood home, the same white gate, the same chimes on the porch. Her mom's car was there. Nora got out first. Julian waited by the car. She opened the front door, and the smell of lavender and lemon cleaner hit her instantly. Her mom was in the kitchen, humming. "Nora?" She turned, surprised. "You're back early." Nora stood there, her heart pounding. "Mom, I need to ask you something." Her mom wiped her hands and came closer. "Of course, honey. What is it?" Nora's voice dropped. "Did I ever get married?" Her mother's expression froze. "What?" "You heard me." Her mom glanced past her through the window toward the car parked outside, and her face changed. "Did he put that idea in your head again?" she said, her tone sharpening. "It's not an idea. It's the truth, isn't it?" Nora stepped forward. "You've been hiding it from me. You don't remember anything, Nora. He left. He gave up on you." "No," Nora said. "He waited. And I think I did love him. I think I still do, somewhere inside." Her mother's eyes filled. "I just wanted to protect you. You were so broken, and he didn't know how to help." "You didn't let him try." There was a long silence. And then her mother whispered, "Yes, you were married to him. You were happy until the accident. You lost control on a rainy night coming back from a movie. They said your brain might block certain things. I was scared. I didn't want to lose you again." Nora felt her legs weaken, but she stood firm. "I need time," she said. Her mother nodded. "I understand." Nora walked back to the car. Julian looked up as she approached. "She told me everything." He didn't speak, just waited. "I want to go back to the house," she said. "Not to stay, just one more night." Julian's voice was soft. "Of course." He opened the door for her. And as she slid into the seat, Nora realized something terrifying and undeniable. Her heart had never really stopped loving him. It had just forgotten how. And now it was starting to remember. But memory is a tricky thing, and sometimes the past comes back with more than love. The house was quieter that night. Even the wind outside had softened, like it knew something delicate was happening inside those walls. Nora sat on the edge of the bed, the same one she'd woken up in that morning, and stared at her reflection in the mirror across the room. She looked the same, but something had changed. The version of herself she thought she knew, the independent, guarded woman rebuilding her life, now stood face to face with a ghost from her past, a ghost who was very much alive. Julian had given her space. He was downstairs making tea, probably pacing, probably second-guessing every word he'd said. And Nora. She was remembering. Not memories in full, not yet. But flashes, a fireplace, laughter, bare feet on wood floors, a dance in the kitchen, the sound of rain against glass, and a voice whispering, "Don't ever let go." She closed her eyes. There was love in those flashes, a lot of it, and a pain so deep, it must have been real. A knock sounded on the door, soft, hesitant. "Come in," she said. Julian peeked in, holding 2 mugs. "I made that vanilla tea you like, or used to like, or still like, hopefully." She couldn't help it. A small smile tugged at her lips. "I like it." He set the mug on her nightstand, then stood there awkwardly, unsure of what to say or do. "You can sit," she said, patting the other side of the bed. He took the spot, careful not to get too close. They sipped tea in silence for a moment. Then Nora turned to him. "Do you still love me?" Julian looked at her, startled, but he didn't hesitate. "Yes," he said, like it was the easiest truth in the world, "even after I pushed you away." "I never stopped," he said. "I just waited." Nora's eyes welled. "I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of falling in love with someone I don't remember." Julian nodded slowly. "But what if you're not falling for someone new?" he said. "What if you're just falling back into place?" The room held its breath. Then Nora whispered, "Tell me something only we would know." Julian stared at the floor, thinking. And then he smiled. "You used to hum when you brushed your teeth, always off-key, always the same song. Moon River." She froze. Her heart skipped. She did that, still did. He leaned back on his palms. "One night I came home and found you crying in the shower. You said you didn't know why. I didn't ask questions. I just sat with you, fully clothed, soaking wet. We didn't speak. We just sat there." Nora's eyes stung. She remembered that night, not fully, not visually, but emotionally, like the echo of something real. "And once," Julian added, "you tried to bake a birthday cake for me from scratch. You forgot the sugar, and we both pretended it was delicious." That made her laugh, a real laugh, and that laugh broke something open inside her. She reached for his hand without thinking. His fingers closed around hers instantly, like they'd never forgotten. "I still don't remember everything," she said. "I don't need you to," he said, "but I want to." Julian looked into her eyes. "Then let's start with tonight, just tonight. No pressure, no past. Just right now." She nodded. They sat there, hands entwined, silence between them, not heavy, but full. And then, crash, a sound from downstairs, glass shattering. Julian stood immediately, alert. "Stay here." Nora stood too. "No, I'm coming." They moved quickly, carefully, down the stairs. The kitchen light was still on. A window by the sink had been smashed in. The glass glittered on the tile like fallen stars. But no one was there. Julian scanned the room. Must have been a rock or something. He trailed off. On the counter was an envelope, not there before. Nora picked it up with shaking hands. Inside a single note. "You should have stayed gone." Julian took the note from her, his jaw tightening. "I'll call the police." But Nora touched his arm. "Wait, this handwriting, I've seen it before." Julian looked at her. "What do you mean?" She stared at the letters, rounded, pressured, sharp at the ends. "I don't know who," she said, "but my body knows. This isn't random. This is personal." Julian grabbed his phone. "We're not staying here tonight. I'll take you to a hotel." "No," Nora said. "I'm not running. Not again." He hesitated, but she stood taller now, stronger. "I came here to remember who I was," she said, "or who we were, and I'm not letting fear erase that again." Julian's eyes softened. "You're braver than you know," he whispered. She didn't feel brave. She felt cracked open, but she nodded. They cleaned the glass together, then locked every window, every door. Julian didn't ask if she wanted him to stay in the room that night. He simply laid a pillow and blanket on the couch. But when Nora came down in the middle of the night, her voice barely above a whisper, "Can you stay just until I fall asleep?" He followed her silently back upstairs. They lay side by side, inches apart, and as she drifted off, her fingers found his again, not out of fear, but trust, and just before sleep claimed her, another memory stirred. A voice, hers, saying, "I do," and his, trembling, saying, "Always." But the question was, who wanted to keep her from remembering, and why? Nora woke before the sun. She didn't move right away. Julian's hand was still gently holding hers, his breathing soft beside her. The room was pale with the earliest light. The sky outside their window streaked with grays and soft pinks. But it wasn't the dawn that woke her. It was the dream. A car, rain, headlights blurring through water on glass. Her voice screaming a name, Julian's name, just before everything went black. She sat up fast, chest heaving. Julian stirred. "Nora?" "I remember the crash," she whispered. He blinked awake, fully alert now. "You do?" She nodded slowly, eyes wide, distant. "It wasn't just an accident. We were fighting in the car." Julian sat up beside her, watching her carefully. "What were we fighting about?" Nora shook her head. "I don't know. I can't hear the words, but I remember the feeling. It was ugly, scared, like we'd reached a breaking point." Julian looked down, his jaw tight. "We had been arguing more, before the accident, about the future, about your career, about mine, about having kids." She blinked. "Kids?" He nodded. "You wanted to wait." I didn't. We couldn't seem to agree on anything for a while. That night we were coming back from a friend's engagement party. You were quiet. I pushed you to talk, and you snapped. You were crying when we swerved off the road. A silence fell. "You never told me that," she said. "I didn't think it mattered," he said softly. "No, after we lost everything," she looked at him. "You still want kids?" Julian hesitated. "I want a family, with you, but not if you're not ready. Not ever, if you're not ready." Nora let the silence hang for a moment, then she whispered, "Maybe I was scared of becoming someone I didn't recognize. Someone who gave up everything just to be someone else's wife or mom." "You didn't have to give anything up," he said gently. "I wanted to build it with you, not for you." Something shifted in her expression, a crack of understanding, but before either of them could speak again, Nora's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Some memories are better left buried. Stop digging, Nora." Her blood ran cold. She turned the phone so Julian could read it. His face darkened. "That's not a coincidence," he said. "Someone knows you're remembering. Someone doesn't want you to. But who?" He stood. "I'm going to the police." She caught his wrist. "Wait. What if it's someone close to me? Someone we both trusted?" Julian hesitated. "You think this is someone from before the accident?" "I don't know. But something about that message. It feels like a threat and a warning." Julian rubbed a hand over his face. "Nora, whoever's doing this, they know where you are. They smashed the kitchen window. They're not going to stop." "Then we find them first," she said, "before they scare me back into forgetting." He looked at her, really looked, and saw something fierce in her eyes, something he hadn't seen in a long time. The woman he'd fallen in love with. Later that day, Nora drove to town alone. Julian had wanted to come, but she insisted on space, and for the first time in 2 years, she needed to face her past on her own. Willow Bay was quiet. Shops still sleepy, the ocean breeze tugging gently at window awnings. She walked the streets slowly, watching her feet on the cobblestones, eyes scanning the familiar yet not storefronts. She stopped in front of the bookstore, the one she'd worked at years ago. The bell above the door jingled as she stepped inside. "Can I help?" The woman behind the counter looked up, then paused. "Nora?" Nora blinked. I'm sorry, do I know you?" The woman smiled gently. "It's me, June. We used to work here together." Nora's lips parted. "June." More flashes, coffee breaks, laughing over spilled books, a whispered secret near the poetry section. "I didn't recognize you," Nora said. "It's okay," June said softly. "We heard what happened. After the accident, your mom said it was best not to reach out." Nora stepped closer. "Did you know Julian?" June's face changed, just slightly, but enough. "I met him a few times," she said carefully. "Did you like him?" June hesitated. You were happy with him. That's all I cared about. June, Nora lowered her voice. Do you know who would want me to forget him? Who would try to scare me off from remembering? June's hand stiffened on the counter. Why are you asking? Because someone's threatening me, she said. Someone doesn't want me to remember my life before. June looked around. The store was empty. Then she said quietly, You should talk to Lily. Nora frowned. Lily? Your old best friend. You two were inseparable until a few months before the crash. That hit hard. Where is she now? She runs the flower shop on Elm, but Nora... What? June looked down. She was in love with Julian? The words landed like ice. Nora left the bookstore with her head spinning. She remembered the name now. Lily. Brown hair, big laugh. Always 2 steps ahead in conversation. Always there. But if she had feelings for Julian, and if they stopped speaking before the accident, then maybe the memory she lost wasn't just painful. Maybe it was dangerous. She reached the flower shop and stood outside, watching through the window. There she was, Lily, arranging sunflowers in a silver vase, smiling at a customer. But when she turned and caught sight of Nora through the glass, her smile vanished, and in that moment Nora knew. The answer was inside. The past wasn't buried. It was standing behind a wall of daisies, waiting. The little bell above the flower shop door jingled softly as Nora stepped inside. The scent of roses, eucalyptus, and something faintly citrusy filled the air. Calming, sweet, almost like it was trying to hide something. Lily looked up from the counter, eyes wide, but the smile she forced on was stiff, shaky at the corners. Well, she said, putting down the scissors she'd been using, look who decided to rise from the dead. Nora blinked. Is that really how you're greeting me? Lily laughed, but it didn't sound like laughter. I'm sorry, that came out wrong. I'm just surprised. After 2 years, you disappeared from everything, from me. You know why. I know what your mother told everyone, Lily said, that you lost your memory, that it was best not to push, that you needed space. She was trying to protect me. Lily's smile tightened. From what exactly? Nora studied her. She looked the same. Maybe a little leaner, maybe a little more polished. But her voice had an edge now, something sharp, brittle. I came to ask you something, Nora said. Lily turned back to her sunflowers. Go ahead. Did you love Julian? Silence, not a blink, not a twitch. Lily kept her back turned as she wrapped a bouquet in paper. That's a strange question to ask someone you haven't spoken to in years. But it's not a no, Nora said quietly. Lily looked up then, slowly. Her eyes were bright, too bright. You remember, don't you? She said. Not everything, but some of it. Enough. Lily didn't flinch. Fine. Yes, I loved him, but not the way you think. Then how? He was my best friend before he met you. That caught Nora off guard. I didn't know that. No, Lily said with a bitter smile. You didn't, because when he met you, I stopped existing. Nora took a step closer. You could have told me. And said what? Lily snapped. That I loved a man who never even noticed me that way? That I had to smile through your wedding while my heart was in pieces? Nora's voice dropped. You never said anything. Because I thought I could let it go. I thought I could be happy for you. Nora's chest tightened. But you weren't? I tried, Lily said, but watching you two play house, laughing, planning your life like I wasn't even a footnote, it killed me. So what did you do? Lily's expression flickered. Nora stepped even closer. Did you send the messages? Break the window? Lily didn't answer. You wanted me to stay gone, Nora said. The realization blooming like poison. You knew if I came back to Willow Bay, I'd remember you. Lily's hands trembled now, just slightly. I never meant to hurt you, she said. I just needed you to forget. Nora stared at her, a sick knot forming in her stomach. And if I hadn't remembered? Lily looked up, voice cracking. Then you'd be happy. You'd be safe. You wouldn't come looking for something that broke you once already." "Julian didn't break me," Nora said, heat rising in her chest. "The accident did." "No," Lily said, eyes burning. "You did. You broke yourself. You pushed him away. And when you lost your memory, it was like a reset. I thought maybe, just maybe, you'd get a better life, a simpler one. Without all the pain?" Nora's voice hardened. "That wasn't your choice to make." Lily opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. Tears welled in her eyes. "I was so tired of being invisible," she whispered. "Even now, you don't remember me, not really. Just him." Nora stepped back. She didn't feel angry anymore. She felt hollow. "I'm not here to punish you," she said, "but I need you to stop. No more messages, no more games." Lily nodded once. "I promise." Nora paused at the door, then asked the question she hadn't dared voice before. "Did you have anything to do with the accident?" Lily looked genuinely shocked. "No, I swear to you. That night, I wasn't anywhere near you. I was already gone." "Gone?" "I left Willow Bay," she said. "I couldn't watch you anymore. I packed my things and disappeared. The crash happened 2 nights later." Something in Lily's voice rang true. She didn't cause the accident, but she had used it. Nora turned and walked out, the chime on the door loud behind her. She found Julian back at the house, standing on the porch with a coffee in hand. "You were right," she said. "It was Lily." His eyes narrowed. "She confessed?" "Not directly, but she as much as admitted it. She wanted me to forget." "Why?" "She was in love with you," Nora said, "before I ever met you." Julian blinked. "I had no idea." "You never noticed?" He shook his head. "I only saw you." Something about the way he said it made her heart lurch. She stepped closer, folding her arms around herself. "I don't know how to feel," she admitted. "Part of me wants to be furious, the other part just feels sad." Julian took her hand quietly. "Grief and forgiveness live in the same place sometimes." She leaned her head against his shoulder. They stood like that, watching the sky shift. After a long moment she said, "There's still more, isn't there? More I haven't remembered yet." Julian nodded slowly. "There's one thing I've never told you," he said. "Something I've carried alone since the crash." She looked up at him. "What is it?" He swallowed hard and whispered, "The night of the accident. You weren't the only one who lost something." Nora stared at him. "What do you mean?" Julian took a breath. His eyes were glassy. "You were pregnant, Nora. You were 2 months along. We just found out. And the impact, we lost the baby." Silence. The wind stopped. The air around her collapsed. Nora's knees buckled. Julian caught her instantly, lowering her gently to the porch bench. "I didn't tell you because the doctors said the memory loss might protect you from the trauma. Your mother agreed. We thought it was best not to add more grief to what you already couldn't understand." Nora covered her mouth. The ache in her chest was unbearable. "Not just pain, grief." "Are you sure?" He nodded. "You were scared, but once the shock faded, you were happy. You were already looking at baby names. You wrote letters to our child. They're still in the desk drawer upstairs." She couldn't speak. Her whole body shook, and yet, deep down, something inside her knew, the way she'd cried for no reason. The dreams she couldn't explain, the emptiness that had haunted her for years. Now it made sense. A love lost before it ever had a chance. Nora whispered through tears, "I didn't even get to say goodbye." Julian pressed his forehead to hers. "We can say it now." They held each other as the sun broke through the clouds. And for the first time in years, Nora allowed herself to cry, not from fear, but from remembrance. Because healing isn't forgetting, it's remembering, and still choosing to love anyway. But healing takes time, and the heart, when broken, never forgets. The drawer was old, made of dark oak, tucked into the corner of Julian's study, a room Nora hadn't dared enter since arriving. She stood in the doorway now, heart pounding, fingertips numb. Julian watched her from behind, silent. "You said the letters are here," she murmured. He nodded. "Bottom drawer, left side." Nora walked slowly to the desk. The floor creaked under her bare feet. Outside, a storm had started, soft thunder rumbling in the distance, as if the sky was bracing itself for what was about to be opened. She knelt down, pulled the drawer gently, and there they were. 3 small envelopes, all addressed the same way. "To the little one we were waiting for?" Her throat tightened. Julian stayed near, but gave her space. Nora picked up the top letter, the paper slightly yellowed at the corners, her own handwriting unmistakable. She sat on the floor, back against the wall, knees to her chest, and unfolded it with trembling hands. She began to read. "Dear little heartbeat, you're not bigger than a blueberry yet, but already you've changed the rhythm of my days. I woke up this morning and smiled just because I remembered you were there. Your dad made pancakes. He burned the first batch. I laughed so hard, I nearly dropped the second. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm writing you letters every week until you get here, just in case I forget the little moments. The way he talks to you already when he thinks I'm asleep, the way I can't stop touching my stomach, even though it's too early to feel anything. I'm scared sometimes. What if I'm not ready? What if I don't know how to be someone's mom? But then I see how your dad looks at me. And I feel like maybe we're going to be okay. Love always. Your mama." Nora's vision blurred. She clutched the paper to her chest and let the tears fall freely. Not loud, not panicked, just deep, aching grief rolling through her like waves. Julian knelt beside her quietly. "I found them a few weeks after the crash," he said. "You used to write in the mornings when you couldn't sleep. You never showed them to me. I think you meant to give them all at once." She handed him the second letter, unable to read it just yet. He unfolded it and read aloud. "Dear little dream, it's week 9. I bought your first blanket today. It's gray with stars. I wanted yellow, but your dad said, 'Stars are better. They'll remind them to reach for something bigger.' He always says things like that. You're lucky to have him. I don't know if you'll be more like him or me, but I do know this. You'll be loved more than anything I've ever known how to love. And that terrifies me. Sometimes love is heavy. Sometimes it asks more than we think we can give. But it also saves us. It makes us brave. You already have. Love, Mom." Nora closed her eyes. "I don't remember writing those words." "But they were in you," Julian said, "and I think they still are," she whispered. "Why didn't you tell me about the baby sooner?" Julian hesitated. "Because for the first year I thought it would destroy you. And then, after you looked at me like a stranger, I thought maybe the only way for me to survive was to let it go." Nora nodded, not in agreement but in understanding. Then she reached for the third letter. This one was different. The handwriting was shakier, the paper thinner. And when she unfolded it, something about it made her hands tremble harder. "Dear little star, today was the hardest day of my life. The doctor said your heartbeat is gone." Just like that. They tried to explain it, but all I could hear was silence. I screamed. I didn't mean to, but I screamed. Your dad held me like I was the one who stopped breathing. Maybe I did. I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if it even matters now, but I need to say it anyway. I loved you. I still do. I always will. You were real, even if the world never got to meet you. Always, Mama. Julian covered his face with his hands. Nora reached for him, pulled him close, and for a long time they held each other there on the floor. No words, no past, no future. Just raw, unfiltered now. The rain outside had picked up. It tapped gently against the windows like it too needed to grieve something. After a while, Nora whispered, "I don't want to forget again." "You won't," Julian said softly. "Not this time." They sat in silence for a long while before she asked, "Did you ever write one?" He paused, then reached into the drawer again and pulled out one last envelope. Her heart skipped, Julian handed it to her. "I never meant to show you. I wrote it the day I left the hospital. After you told me to leave." She opened it. "Dear little one, you'll never read this, but I need to say it anyway. Your mom doesn't remember me anymore. She looked at me like I was no one. And maybe that's fair. Maybe I failed her. Maybe I couldn't protect either of you. I don't know how to keep going, but I want you to know you were real and you were wanted." I used to press my hand to her stomach and imagine hearing you laugh. Now I press my hand to an empty pillow and try not to. I'll always wonder who you might have been. And if you somehow see her from wherever you are, help her remember that she once knew love and that it never left. Dad. Nora didn't cry. She just folded the letter gently, placed it back in the envelope, and kissed it. Then she looked at Julian. "I want to try again someday," she said. "Not just for a child, but for us. I want to remember the pain and the joy." He cupped her face gently. "Me too." They didn't need promises. Not yet, not this time. They just needed presence and truth, and the courage to let the past live beside the future. Later that night, as the rain washed the world clean outside their windows, they sat together on the couch, no TV, no phones, just fingers laced and hearts beating. Healing isn't linear, it's layered. And sometimes it lives in silence, in tea, in unread letters, in shared storms. But one thing was clear now, love hadn't left. It had waited. Willow Bay was golden, the storm had passed. Waves glimmered under the late afternoon sun, and gulls floated lazily above the cliffs. Everything felt clean, quiet, like the town itself had exhaled. The sea breeze was softer, the light hit different, brighter, warmer. Nora walked barefoot along the path behind Julian's house, her sweater wrapped loosely around her shoulders. She paused beside the garden bench, the one with the faded carving, J+N. She ran her fingers over it again, but this time there was no confusion, no ache, only memory and a strange, full kind of peace. Behind her, Julian watched from the doorway. He didn't speak. He knew by now, when she needed silence, he gave it. When she needed closeness, he showed up, always. Not with grand gestures, not with perfection, just with presence. And maybe that's what love actually was. Not just a spark, not butterflies, not even history, but staying, even when it hurt, even when it was hard, even when someone forgot you. That evening, they drove into town together. No secrets between them now. Just shared truths and a quiet rhythm they were both learning again. Julian parked beside the old lighthouse. "I haven't been up here since the summer we got married," he said as they stepped out. Nora looked up at the spiral staircase behind the lighthouse door. "How many steps?" 103, he said with a half smile. "You complained at every single one." "Sounds like me." They climbed together, slowly, hand in hand. No rush to get to the top. When they reached the final step, the town of Willow Bay spread out below them. The sea stretched endlessly. The rooftops glowed amber, and the wind tugged at Nora's hair like a childhood friend. "I used to be afraid of heights," she said. "You still are," Julian teased. "You just forget when you're with me." She laughed, and it felt like breathing. He turned to her. "You were scared of losing yourself. That's why you tried to push everything away before. The marriage, the baby, the future." She looked at him. "And now?" He reached into his pocket. Not for a ring, but a folded piece of paper. "I found this in one of your journals. I don't think you ever meant to give it to me, but maybe now you're ready." He handed it to her. Nora unfolded the page slowly. It was her handwriting. "If I ever forget, you loved me when I was impossible, when I was small, when I was too much. You held me through every storm I made up in my own mind. You waited when I pushed you away. You never asked me to be anything but me, and that's why I said yes. If I ever forget who you are, just hold my hand and let me feel it all over again." She blinked fast, swallowing the lump in her throat. "I don't remember writing this," she whispered. You don't have to, Julian said gently. You are this. Tears slid down her cheeks, but this time they didn't come from pain. They came from finding herself again. She wrapped her arms around him and held him close, heart to heart, memory to memory. A week later, Nora stood by the window of her childhood home, suitcase packed. Her mother stood nearby, wringing her hands. You really want to go back with him? Nora turned. Mom, I was happy. With him, we had something real, and I know you were scared. But I need to live my life, not the version you protected me into. Her mother's eyes filled. I just couldn't lose you again. I know, Nora said softly, stepping forward and hugging her. But I'm not broken anymore. I'm whole, even with the cracks. She kissed her mother's cheek. Thank you for everything, but it's time. They didn't move back into the beach house. Too many ghosts. Instead, Julian and Nora found a small place near the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just enough sunlight, 2 bedrooms, and a little porch with a swing. And every Sunday, they'd drive up the coast. No destination, just road, music, and the wind in their faces. One evening, as they stood on the porch watching the sky turn violet, Julian looked over and asked, Do you still write letters? Nora smiled. Not to a baby. To who then? She kissed his shoulder and whispered, To myself. He nodded. And what do you say? I say, you're allowed to be both broken and brave. I say, it's okay to forget, as long as you remember again. I say, love is still worth the risk. And then, without a single flashback, without a single doubt, she leaned in and kissed him. Not like a stranger trying to recover something lost, but like a woman who had chosen to stay. 6 months later. The morning was quiet. The kitchen smelled like fresh bread and vanilla tea. Julian sat at the table, sketching a model for a new community project. Nora walked in holding something in her hand. A test, 2 pink lines. He looked up and she simply nodded, tears in her eyes. His sketch fell from his hand. He crossed the kitchen in 2 steps and wrapped his arms around her, lifting her off the ground as she laughed through her tears. This time, they weren't scared. This time, they weren't grieving something they hadn't met yet. This time, they were ready. And maybe that's the point of all of it. Love doesn't always come easy. Sometimes it leaves, sometimes it hides, sometimes it breaks you, but if it's real, if it's true, it will always, always find its way back. The end. Have you ever had to let go of someone you loved, only to find them again later in life? Or maybe, have you ever forgotten who you were and had to find your way back? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how your heart found its way.